we should stop developing mainstream curriculum, and then after we are done, we adapt this curriculum to suit the deaf children. That is wrong. We can advocate for employment of deaf people. Yeah. This will help and it will become more inclusive for the deaf. Why am I saying this? Because when you employ a deaf person, you must engage an interpreter. Yeah. So we want the employer to know that it is not a must for them to provide a full-time interpreter. Because we have seen many people, many employers, they feel that this is an extra cost, honestly.
Hello everyone. Nashukuru. Thank you so much for following us. Thank you so much for watching this episode. We are back and tunashukuru sana kwa kuwa na sisi. My name is Karen Wanjera and tulikuwa tumewaambia tutakuwa tunaletea guest ambao tunakuja we share na tunaongea kuhusu this month. This month is a special month for us as Sign TV. Also it's a special month for us being recognized in the country because it's a month yenye tuna celebrate sign language and ambayo tuna make awareness. People should know about sign language. People should learn. Last episode we talked about you being one of us and learning about sign language. Kuja una learn one thing or two things about sign and we will be able to communicate to each other. So today nimevaa sweater top ya orange and a blue jeans na sport shoes. So thank you so much for watching us. Tulisema you subscribe, you comment to our social media. Our social media handles is Science TV Kenya on Facebook media and Instagram, kila mahali ni Science TV. So tuongee pamoja. Tell us what you would want us to ask the guest. Tell us what you would want us to discuss. And tutafurahia ukiwa na sisi. So for today we have a special guest. Najua wengine mnamjua, wengine mmemsikia huko nje. But tutafanya introduction, tumjue zaidi. So welcome our guest. So tumjue kwa majina kwanza.
Asante. Asante sana. And I'm happy to come to your show today.
Welcome.
So my name is Richard Mativu, and this is my sign name. And I'm very happy to be here today for the interview, for the discussion, and all that we will discuss. So to my brothers and sisters who are visually impaired, I'm wearing a gray coat, a black shirt, and a blue jeans, and a pair of black shoes. And I'm wearing some glasses. Thank you, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes, mumesikia. Niliwaambia tutakuwa tunaletea guest wenye we are learning. So kindly, kama unatuwatch, sit down. Nataka usikize Richard vizuri so that you learn something. And then at the end of the show, kindly, uende hapo nje usign moja yenye umeunderstand from Richard and we will be happy to hear from you people. So Richard, tungetaka kujua who is Richard? Where was Richard born? And tupatie life history yako kidogo. Yeah.
Asante. Thank you. Still, my name still remains Richard. And I work with Light. I'm spelling Light for the World International. It's an international NGO. And the office, it has 6 offices. And the headquarters is in Vienna, Austria. And our office is based in Kenya. I am based in Nairobi. And I work there as a country director. And I am deaf. And I am happy to have joined this program today because some brief history about myself. Well, I need 3 hours to tell you my story, but I'll keep it short.
Keep it short, yeah, true.
So I am a human rights expert and with a strong foundation in working with children, youth, women, and persons with disabilities. I have worked in few organizations in Kenya, and I will speak more about my work in disability and development. I have worked with children, deaf, blind, generally, I would say all disability, especially those who are hard to reach disability. That is visually deaf, blind, cerebral palsy. And for me, I was born hearing. And when I went to the university, I became deaf. So from there, I started to learn sign language, practiced sign language. I went to school to learn sign language in the university. And then after that, I interacted with many deaf people, and I enjoyed the deaf culture. I met many deaf people from Kenya and outside, interacted and learned a rich history about the deaf community in Kenya. So that is briefly about me. I'm a father, I'm married to one wife and 3 children.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to know that Richard is married to a wife. And nowadays, unajua Richard, Kenya, in the whole world, watu wame-confuse sana mambo ya gender. So,
yes, kweli.
clarify vizuri sana that he's married to one wife. So people outside there, najua mmejua Richard vizuri, tunaendelea na show vizuri. And Richard, we would want to know sign language. This month tuna celebrate about deaf awareness, and we are saying that every person should have a right, human rights zenye zinaambatana na deaf rights. So at the end of the day tunauliza tumefight sana watoto wajue mambo ya sign language kutoka utotoni. Is it kwako wewe ukiangalia kuna vile unaona ina practicewa in Kenya?
Well, Kenya is a country with respect to sign language and access to communication for deaf people. It's not bad and it's not good. Iko tu hapo katikati. Why am I saying this? Because if you compare regionally in East Africa, Kenya may progress. But if you compare with the global practice, then we are still behind. And I'll give a few examples. One, and we appreciate the Kenyan Constitution recognizes sign language as one of the official languages in Kenya, meaning that the Constitution of Kenya has recognized 3 languages only. That is English, Swahili, and Kenya Sign Language. Remember, K is very important to show that Kenyan context. If you do sign language, it will just be general. But you have to do Kenyan, meaning that our sign language, which is rich in culture, and also the deaf community in Kenya. And this is a very big and positive thing. And the implementation of the Disability Act 2003, which now has been replaced by the new 2025 Disability Act. Because the old act provided that the TVs should have sign language interpreters, and that was implemented a few years ago, which is a positive, and it's a good thing. That TVs have sign language interpreters, but we have a few that are not accessible for the deaf people. You can see that the Kenyan government, whenever there is a public participation, the government has tried to bring interpreters, but you cannot bring interpreters without mobilizing the deaf people. That is another challenge, because it is very easy for you to call an interpreter to come for a meeting to work. But if you do not mobilize deaf people within that community, you will find that the meetings, yes, have interpreters, but there are no deaf participants. Some other challenges that we have, up to now, the education system in Kenya. The education system in Kenya, yes, recognizes sign language, it is a positive thing, but up to now, there in schools for the deaf, children still struggle with access to a rich language, because at home, parents do not have these skills to teach these children. So when they go to school, they will start learning this language from the school. And the teachers do not have a good foundation of sign language. Some teachers learn sign language from these children. So it is still a challenge. And another big problem that we have that has troubled me up to now is that the government continues to examine deaf children in written format or written form. You cannot write sign language because sign language is visual, it's a visual language. Because when NEC expects deaf children to read and write a visual language, this is already a barrier. Because this language uses hands movement, facial expressions, and all that. So you cannot write a facial expression. How do you write that? So that, in a way, finally, the education system still expects many learners to express themselves in written format, maybe in English or Swahili. But remember, the learner may have the information, yes. Maybe they might have an information to express themselves through a paper. But the information will disappear in the paper because of the poor English that the learner might have, and they may fail. But this does not mean that the learner is stupid, no. Being deaf is not a learning disability. It's just a communication gap. Thank you.
Very true. Yes, being deaf is not a disability. So it is not like hiyo ni shida kubwa sana. Huyu mtoto anaweza endelea kuwa shuleni na asome vizuri. Richard, umetuambia mambo ya examination ya NEC na nimelearn a lot kuwa we say that our watoto wafanye exam. Na ametuambia vizuri, you cannot write facial expression uwezi andika hapo ati mtu amesmile uandike. Ukisema smiling, hiyo facial expression ijaoneshana kwa yeye alikuwa na smile ama alikuwa analia. Ni just ameandika tu crying. So exam, watu wa NEC tuko unfair sana kwa many disabilities. Unakuta kuwa even the visually impaired, wakati mwingine tunawapatia exam, kuna vitu ambazo wanafaa kuoneshana na mikono. And yeye kwa exam imeandikwa kwa paper. So inakuwa ni hard kwao. So can we come back even to the person who has that disability? Atuoneshe if exam venye angetaka isetiwe. We are not saying that mtupe leakage ya exam, tuambie tutaandika hivi ni vile tunafaa kuwaonesha this is the challenges that we go through.
The video, yes, maybe we could upload the video. Yeah.
That is possible. So we are going back to Richard again. Richard, I wanted you to tell us how is your experience working, because most of the time unapata a person with disability, not only deaf person, but with a person with disability, anapata shida sana kazini. Unapata kuwa the environment is not friendly, and even getting that job inakuwa ni shida. So tungetaka kujua how is your experience at work, how are you managing it, and uko na kiti kubwa sana, and I'm happy that umekuja hapa. People should know that even if you are deaf, even if you have any disability, you can still work and you can still unaweza pata hiyo kiti kubwa na uendeleze kazi vizuri. So back to you, Richard.
Thank you for that. And that's a very good question, because Light for the World in Kenya, we are the biggest champions of employing persons with disabilities, because we have the biggest program in Kenya, working with various donors, trying to develop partnerships, advocacy, and actually get people with disability jobs. Not just about training, the skills alone, no. We provide the skills training. We call it core life skills training, entrepreneurship training. We give them business grants. We also do awareness to employers to make sure that they employ people with disabilities. We do accessibility audits to the employers and all that. So that is something that Light for the World is very interested a lot in. Now, to your question, how Light for the World, or my experience at Light for the World, I would say it's a bit conflicting because I work as a director. So I'm evaluating my own organization, which is not easy. But allow me to say that I'm so proud of my organization because it recognizes various challenges that we have. We have diversity of each member of the staff, and we've come up with a reasonable accommodation policy, meaning that in short form, RA, reasonable accommodation policy. So we've come up with this policy that, and the practice of this policy, it will depend on each member of staff needs, what support they need, so that they can perform well in the workplace. So for example, we have many people with disabilities in our organization. We accept to support them depending on their needs. If maybe you need an aid, maybe you need a sign language interpreter, you need a guide, you need a reader, we have softwares, we have special chairs. So we have all that. At the same time, we sensitize our staff on how to work with persons with disabilities. Disability rights, simple ways of communication, making etiquette, using good language in the office as well. Because language is an issue when you communicate with a person with a disability. True. So we try to sensitize and to raise awareness to the staff to use disability-friendly language. So for now, I can say that we are a good employer of persons with disabilities, and we continue to learn and improve. We are not perfect. We are improving. Right now, I think we are better than many organizations.
It's good to know. The last time we had a guest, and the guest complained, told us about the box, ile box yenye TV station huwa wanapatia sign interpreter kuongea kwa news, kwa breaking news. And sometimes mimi kwangu tulikuwa tunaongelea, the box is very small, that a person with disability who is deaf, sometimes they struggle to view the box. So as Richard, what is your view on that?
Asante. Not sometimes, I would say all the time, we struggle to understand that tiny box. You can imagine that you have a big TV, then you have to sit near the TV because the TV, you cannot sit near the TV like a phone. The TV has to be very far away. Sometimes, you see that we have some vocabularies that do not have signs. And that makes the sign language interpreter to finger spell.
Yeah.
So if the interpreter is finger spelling from afar, you are not able to see that. And I see as a good practice, we have what we call floating interpreter, whereby we have like a full TV, then the half of the TV has a sign language interpreter, and the other side has an anchor. You have like a sign language interpreter on the side, like maybe not a full screen, but maybe a third. That you have a person signing very well, and very visible. Their hand movements are clear. This is the standard practice. At the same time, you provide a sign language interpreter, you have to provide captioning as well. That is a good captions, because not all deaf people use sign language. We have deaf people who depend on captions or subtitles. And if you travel outside the country, maybe if you go to the Western world, you will see that you will see the floating interpreter. At the same time, you will see captioning. So this works very well. So in Kenya, you'll just see a TV, and you'll see a very small and tiny box, and this is not impactful and does not benefit the deaf community.
Very true. And we are happy that at Sign TV, wacha tujipigie debe kidogo, because we always do that. And we are happy that at least Sign TV huwa tuko na interpreter mwenye at least half of the TV tunapata ana interpret vizuri. We are so glad that as we campaign for deaf awareness, we are doing it. Not only just talking, but we are doing it in Sign TV. So thank you so much, Sign TV. We have been doing a good job. Tuendelee hivyo hivyo. So The other question kwa Richard is about unapata kuwa wakati mwingine mashinani, most of the time kuna hizi sign language, mostly unapata kuna deaf ambaye haelewi sign language vizuri, mzazi pia haelewi sign language vizuri. So wakati kama Richard ulizaliwa, ulipata tatizo kuwa mzazi understand sign language, wewe pia you are also struggling kujua sign language ukiwa mdogo, so that as you grow up uielewe vizuri. What are the challenges as you grow?
Okay, thank you for that good question. So my case is a bit different from others, from other people, because I became deaf when I was an adult already. So I had to go and learn sign language deliberately. I had to be deliberate and learn the language itself. But for many children at home, maybe they are born to hearing families. So you find it so hard for them to acquire sign language because the parents do not know sign language and they have no time to go and learn sign language. And also the community, maybe the neighbors, they don't have neighbors who are deaf, so they struggle in accessing the language. And many times you find these children will learn the language from the school. So because within the community, you might not find somewhere to learn sign language. So they have to go and find a teacher, maybe deaf teachers, hearing teachers, all teachers signing. Maybe they find friends who they can sign together. So this time, I participated in a project before where we supported deaf children to acquire language very early. And we supported them to meet deaf role models from their local communities to help them communicate, interact, play, and help them to acquire strong language. So now, there are some gaps in policy that in Kenya, if we did early identification, the health systems can pick up a child at a very early age. But the problem is that when you tell a parent of a deaf child to go learn sign language, there is a big gap because there is no place where a parent can go and learn sign language. Because remember, sign language is a language like any other language. If you go and meet a teacher for 2 hours, you learn the language. Then you don't practice it. When you come back tomorrow, the 2 hours, you cannot do a lot with the 2 hours. So you must go and practice, interact with the deaf people, listen to music, just practice, and that will improve your language. So that when you go and learn a few days, come back and say that I have a certificate and you cannot be able to sign with the child. Then this is a fact. Because children miss out on language. And there's a gap for 5 years when a child is born. And they struggle to acquire a language. And they will struggle to acquire this in future because, you see, the brain processes sign language and it needs to be stimulated early enough. So if a child misses that early stage, the parents, maybe they cannot be able to communicate, they cannot be able to see a parent sign and all that. When at home, maybe the parent and the child can come up with some small signs, the home signs or gestures, smile, water, and all that. Not just signing when you're closing your mouth. No, the mouth has to move when you're laughing, when you're talking to the child, so that a deaf child can look at you and so that they can be able to see. Because if they cannot be able to hear, they will be able to see because their brain is developing. So that is my message to the parents. So please try. Don't be quiet. Speak to your children early. Let them have the eye contact and all that.
Yes, thank you so much, Richard. We are learning a lot. Najua our viewers are seated, watching, and I know that you are learning something. Now, Richard, I want you to talk to Kenya at large and give us solutions. We have so many problems to person with disability, mostly for the deaf. We have so many problems that we are facing outside there. And sometimes you find that somebody would want to help, but they cannot help kama hawajui the solution that we need. What do we need to do as Kenya so that we can be in the same path? The last time we said that when we are working together, as people, when you're working together and you leave someone behind, itakuwa kazi ngumu sana kuendea huyu mtu behind. But if you can hold hands and we work together, then we are building something great. We can do something great when you are working together. But itachukua muda sana wewe umemwacha huko nyuma, then you go back to them, come back so that you can be in the same path. So tell us as Kenya, what do we need to do?
Thank you. And I'll answer it twofold. The two issues. The first one, early years. We need to focus on education. The first thing that we think about when we think about education for children, we should stop developing mainstream curriculum. And then after we are done, we adapt this curriculum to suit the deaf children. That is wrong. We cannot adapt because first we develop the mainstream curriculum. Now when it's ready to be rolled out, we just now change a few things and we make it become a curriculum for the deaf children. This does not work. For example, I had an experience and I saw one adaptation of teaching children rhyming words like duck, park, jack. You see those words with k, and all that. So if you adapt that, like for signs, if you sign duck, then sign for park, they are different signs. So this does not bring out the rhyming element in it. But you see, a person will come and say that we adopted this, because we have R-A-C-K. But a deaf child can be able to spell that. But this is not rhyming. Number two, our children must be equipped. I cannot teach you something when I'm not a language that I don't understand very well. How can I give you something? How can I teach you something that I do not know? So they need to be well equipped with the language so that they can pass the information, because this has been a big gap. So for me, when we focus on the education, that's to be done. The second one, in general, in Kenya, generally in the Kenyan context, we have a very good thing that happened recently in Parliament. We have the KSL bill in Parliament at the moment. We have two. Allow me to mention the one that is brought by Honorable Umi. This bill is very nice and very good and very progressive. It establishes a council. If we have the bill passed in Parliament and becomes a law, we will achieve Article 7B. The government will promote the development of and use of Kenya Sign Language. Up to now, that article has not been effected. So if we pass this bill, we will, because it talks about establishing a council that will regulate the use and the development of sign language. And it will make sure that anyone that teaches this language, if you teach sign language, you are well registered, you are certified, and you can be monitored about your quality as well. And also, this council will support sign language interpreters, will regulate the interpreters in Kenya, and come up with a good professional progression, because we find that interpreters enters in a certain job group and they stay there forever.
Yeah, true.
Because currently, we do not have a good grading for interpreters. We don't know how to pay the interpreters, and this has really confused deaf people because it has not been fully included. And this bill will really help a lot if passed.
Yeah. Wow. I think I've learned a lot today, and I'm grateful that we have Richard Kwasho. And tunawaambia nyinyi wote wenye mnatu follow, wenye mnatu watch, that at the end of the day, make sure you have learned a sign. At home, make sure you have learned something. Practice make perfect. Richard ametuambia kuwa don't go and learn sign language and then you come back home and just sit around knowing that nimepata certificate so I can talk sign language, but you are not practicing it. So when you have gotten your certificate, go back, ongea the sign, try to do the signs when you're at home, watch the signs at the television, kwa TV, angalia those signs venye zinawekwa. And mostly na thank Sign TV because huwa wakati tunakuanga na kipindi ambayo inaletwa ya music and you can find somebody who is interpreting there. Learn from there. Learn something from there. And I believe when we learn sign language, it will be so easy for us to communicate to each other, even at home. So back to Richard, we want, most of the time we have person with disability having those difficulties of getting a job. Also, tuna have those, unapata even the hospitals themselves, they are not disability friendly. Disability friendly in a manner that unapata as a deaf, you have to work with a sign interpreter kwa hospitali, you work with a sign interpreter even kwa meetings, everywhere you work with a sign interpreter. And it will be very easy if Kenya we can have sign language in our offices. So I think you can talk about having the sign language in the offices, za serikali, and everywhere that we work, to make it easier for a deaf person to understand what is happening in our country.
Yes. As a disability advocate, when it comes to access to communication for the deaf, we can advocate for employment of deaf people. Yeah. This will help and it will become more inclusive for the deaf. Why am I saying this? Because when you employ a deaf person, you must engage an interpreter. Yeah. Or the deaf person will show you where they can support you, what you need to change, what you need to adapt in communication and all that. So this is better. But what we've seen, many organizations are so quick to employ interpreters. You cannot employ a sign language interpreter because that is not the ultimate goal. No. Inclusion is. So if you employ, we've seen many organizations have employed interpreters. And a few deaf people come to these institutions. And so the boss will feel that the interpreter is not busy, so they'll start assigning the interpreters other roles. And maybe you will find that in a short time, the interpreter has moved to some other roles. And now their skills have expired. They cannot be able to sign because they're not practicing and they're not signing and all that because they've moved maybe to admin, let's say. So if you employ a deaf person now, in the university, this person will make sure that every service is accessible, that you have brought an interpreter on board whenever there is something. So what I would advise for inclusion, the deaf person has to be employed.
Yeah. And when you employ a deaf person, you should employ a sign interpreter. That one, tumesema hivyo. Tafadhali, when you employ a deaf person, employ a sign interpreter so that it can be easy for this person kuwa anaweza communicate even to a meetings. Sometimes we employ them, but at the end of the day, we don't employ an interpreter. So it is difficult even when you are walking kwenda lunch, wakati mnaenda lunch. Unapata the deaf person anakuwa ni kama ako outside you people, and you have gone for lunch, all of you. So kindly, when you employ a deaf person, employ a sign interpreter, it will be very easy. Even for you people, from the interpreter, you will learn one or two things on sign language. So we are there, and I believe we are heading.
And in addition, let me add something. Sometimes we want the employers to know that it is not a must for them to employ an interpreter. First, give the deaf person a job, and then find out how to engage an interpreter, some on part-time, on call basis. Like right now, we have some apps, like YouScience TV have an app.
Yeah.
I've seen many interpreters join meetings online. So my answer, that is depending with the job for the deaf person.
Yeah.
If the person is very busy with clients and all that, then they will need an interpreter to be with them or on a full-time basis. But if most of the time they're just busy with their laptops, maybe is an IT person, they don't need an interpreter throughout, Monday to Friday. No, full-time, no. Maybe they might have, whenever they have meetings, maybe on Monday, on Wednesday, when their clients, that's time they might need an interpreter. But the other days, they are happy working on a laptop, like an IT person can just work on the laptop alone. So we want the employer to know that it is not a must for them to provide a full-time interpreter. Because we have seen many people, many employers, they feel that this is an extra cost, honestly. Because they feel that this is expensive to include, the cost of inclusion is expensive.
Yeah, true. And I believe that as an interpreter, Richard, anakuja kama an assistant person. For example, I'm employ a person mwenye ako kwa wheelchair. They will need an assistant mwenye anafaa kumsaidia on maneuver basis ya kumaneuver here and there. So I think also kwa budget, waki-employ a deaf person, wacha tu waweke sign interpreter, because at the end of the day, it means that if they employ a person on wheelchair, they will tell you, hapa unaweza kuwa unajipandisha, so there is no need of bringing you somebody mwenye ana assist you. That's why we are for me, I would prefer aki-employ a deaf person, I employ a sign interpreter so that it can go along on helping each other kwa wakati wa kazini. And our viewers, najua mnasikiza hii, najua mnatu watch, to commentia hapo kwa comment section, tuambie what would you want us to talk about, and tell us what you have learned from this show. What are you still continuing to learn as you continue with the show? We want to thank you so much for always keeping us on toes, kutuambia this is what we have learned, this is what we need you to talk about. And today tukawaambia tunawaletea guest. This is a month of celebrating sign language. Tunasema no human rights without sign language rights. And as we continue with all that, rights for person with disability, kuna nini ilisainiwa? Kuna law ilisainiwa na our president, and tukaona itatusaidia sana as person with disability. I believe Richard may go through the whatever was passed, and I believe kuna vitu ambazo you have seen that it will help as a person living who is deaf, a person who is deaf. So kutoka kwa hiyo law yenye ilipasio, what have you seen that it will help a person who is a deaf person?
We have many good and positive things in the new Disability Act of 2025. And I will pick the first one that was big, because after we passed the Constitution in 2010, many laws needed to be realigned so that they can align with the new Constitution. But the Disability Act had stayed for many years, up to this year, actually, May. Yeah, that's when it was signed into law. So that was a long time. We are happy that Kenya has finally passed this act, and we thank and congratulate the parliament and all that. So this law, one positive thing, it provides for disability mainstreaming rights in the counties. The other law never had counties in it. So this one connects the national government responsibilities and the county government responsibilities. It is very clear what is expected from each. And secondly, It has made the disability registration permanent because initially you used to struggle. You go to renew after every 5 years, but this one is permanent. And it also supports parents and guardians, not caregivers, not caregivers, because a caregiver can be anyone, but these parents or a guardian, now they can benefit from some tax exemptions. And the government hopes that this benefit will enable the parent to support their children. So it has a big outreach. And the law incriminates, criminalizes discrimination. Now it has become criminal to discriminate a person with disability. Now, moving forward, it is a criminal offense and one can be jailed. One can be fined. So this law is very beautiful because now disability issues have become serious. Another beautiful thing about if you have a staff of over 20, you make sure that 5% of this staff, they are staff with disabilities. So that means that now many employers in Kenya, they've not been complying with this law. Now they have started looking for persons with disabilities to employ them in their workplace and make sure that the workplaces is inclusive. Also in courts, provided sign language interpreters are provided for. If you go to the courts tomorrow, you expect to get a sign language interpreter there. And also, it also gives a waiver to a persons with disability. And also it continues to provide interpretation in TV, and it has said that the word is all learners will start learning sign language. Whether deaf or not deaf, all learners in school, including tertiary institutions. We will make sure that sign language will be beautiful, and that is the new law, and it has given us all that.
Yes, the new law at least iko na beautiful things about person with disability. Richard ametuelezea kuwa even the guardian and the parent and the guardian of the child with disability, at least kuna benefits zenye atakuwa anapata. So ukipata mtoto ako na disability, kindly don't lock us down. Usitufungie kwa nyumba, tuache twende shule tusome. And kama venye mnavyoona, Richard is a big person, akona jina, ametajika yani. And at the end of the day tunasema kuwa ukiwacha mtoto aende shule, either he has a disability or not, asome vizuri, akuwe empowered, at the end of the day atakuja kukusaidia. Usimfungie mtoto, pe mtoto freedom yake. Kama ni shule, mpeleke shule like any other person. Si lazima ati umtafutie shule yenye iko na watoto tu wako na disability. We have shule ambazo zinachukua even you as a person mwenye uko na disability na shule ambayo the school is just disability friendly. So take your child to school, wacha asome, so that in future we can have many directors, many people who can do something to the country. And at the end of the day, we have a beautiful country. So thank you so much for the people who are viewing us. So back to Richard, kindly talk to the parents who has children with disability, encourage them that there is tomorrow. Because kama mzazi angekuachilia, even wakati ambapo ulipata disability ya deaf, mzazi angesema this is now, tuacha tumuachie hapa because ni kama amegonjeka sasa. They always tell us we are sick. I don't know which disease we have. So wakituambia, mzazi angesema Richard saizi amegonjeka, wacha tumweke kando sasa, we concentrate on others. Saizi tungekuwa tunakuona, saizi ungekuwa that person mwenye you empower children with disability. So talk to the parents who are outside there, wenye wako na watoto wenye wako na disability, and encourage them. Yeah.
Okay. My message to all the parents who have children with disabilities, the first thing is that the law supports you. And your children have rights. They must be treated equally with dignity. And the government has tried to implement some good programs for your benefit. So please don't shy away from accessing your rights. Access for your rights. Ask for the rights of your children. For me, I would say the first thing, if you have a child with a disability, you must become an advocate. Because your child will experience a lot of challenges, and you have to be ready to break this so that you can break these barriers in the society. You must learn a lot about your child, about your child's disability. Do not assume, because there are some children without disabilities. Maybe your siblings, brother, sister, neighbor, maybe a chama, mama with children. Maybe they take care of their children and all that. But if you have a child with cerebral palsy, a deaf child, you don't have a women group or chama that can support you to raise this child. So you have to learn a lot. You have to become an expert. You have to find ways to manage these conditions of these children. You have to go to the health centers for support. You have to meet deaf role models. You have to meet persons with disabilities, role models. You have to learn a lot from them. They will give you a positive image, and you will accept your children. You have to join meetings. You have to learn more about your children. One thing that I can say, do not neglect. Do not neglect your child. Do not neglect. Please support this child, because if you support the child very well, they can go to school. In future, they will be successful. But if they miss support now, in future, it means that you will continue helping yourself, because the child will just be at home, eating and staying there. And at that time, they'll be mature and adults. But right now, you should support them. Please don't be discouraged. If you find something challenging, maybe if your neighbor is scolding your children, maybe the hospitals and all that, do not be discouraged. Please champion for your child. And when they become successful, you will be the most happiest person.
Yes. Become successful, you'll be the most happiest person. So kindly let us take our children to school. For the viewers, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the questions that you've been asking. Tell us, and I repeat, tell us what you would want us to speak about next time, next episode, and we'll be glad that you have communicated to us. We had Richard, and he has told you yeye ni county director. Umesikia hiyo? Nirudie tena, country director, yani inchi, director wa inchi, yeah. And he's working. So kindly tupeleke watoto shule. I insist on that. Tupeleke watoto shule, tuwasomeshe, tuwapeleke, nurture your talent, the talent of the child. Ukiona mtoto anapenda football sana, just nurture it from the beginning. Akiwa mdogo, mwelezee on how to go about it, and at the end of the day, wewe ndio uta benefit, because huyu mtoto atakukumbuka aseme, mami took me to school, my father supported me when I wanted the school fees. Na najua atakuwa anaketi chini anasema, yes, nimefika hapa mahali ambapo niko because of my parent. So take the children to school, nurture the talent of the child, and I believe at the end of it all, we will be happy together. So thank you so much for viewing us. Thank you for always being with us. Thank you for the subscribers. We continue the same way venye tulianzia. Continue subscribing, continue telling us what you